About a month ago, Atari teased a new video game console called Ataribox. They released some pictures to show people what it would look like. It does not look like a box. It's only been a month, they haven't announced anything substantial like specs and pricing and things of that nature, and they're already lying. So Atari is going back into the hardware business and they're going to release a new console. At the time, they just announced only a name for their new product that was incoming, and they were already lying from the get-go. When will this tidal wave of lies end, Atari? When? Okay, all silliness aside, there is an elephant here that needs to be brought up for those who might not be aware of this little factoid. Some of you older folks who have followed video games throughout its various generations would know this, but for those who don't, I will try to bring this up to speed as best as I could. First of all, Atari is not going back into the hardware business. That statement is a bald-faced lie because Atari has never been in the hardware business. At least, not this Atari. The original Atari Incorporated that gave us Pong, Asteroids, the Atari 2600 and the Atari 5200 systems was on the verge of bankruptcy in the mid-1980s due to that whole video game crash that happened, and the parent company, Warner Communications, sold off the home consumer division while retaining the arcade division, retitled Atari Games. Atari Corporation was the former consumer division bought out by Jack Tramiel, and that's where we got the Atari 7800, the Atari Lynx, the Atari Jaguar, the various home computer lines, the Big Bang, dinosaurs, bipeds, and a mounting sense of futility. That Atari Corporation eventually merged with another small company that made disk drives or something like that in 1996, and the name sort of faded away. That company sold the Atari name and the assets to Hasbro Interactive in 1998, who then sold it to French company Infogrames in 2000, who would go on to release various games under the Atari brand before eventually renaming the whole company Atari several years down the road because why the heck not? You got a recognizable brand name, might as well use it. And that's the Atari that's going to be putting out this Ataribox thing. Now as of this recording, late July-ish, there's nothing in terms of concrete information. There's no specs, there's no games, there's no pricing, there's no timing, release date, whatever the case may be. Just a couple concept images, a couple quotes, and talk of a potential crowdfunding campaign, because you know that always helps to build confidence in your product. I mean, it worked well for Coleco, right? That oh, wait, it didn't work for... Yeah, maybe we should move on from that, yeah. Now, while you marvel at the few concept images of what this Atari box is supposed to look like, I will read the update from Atari that you would have gotten through an email service, but has since been requoted on various news sites, so here we go. Our objective is to create a new product that stays true to our heritage while appealing to both old and new fans of Atari. Fair enough. Inspired by classic Atari design elements such as the iconic use of wood, ripped lines, and raised back, but no chrome finish. We are creating a smooth design with ribs that flow seamlessly all around the body of the product. A front panel that can either be wood or glass. A front-facing logo. Indicator lights that glow through the material. And an array of new ports. HDMI, 4 USB, and SD card slot. We intend to release 2 editions. A wood edition and a black-red edition. But no chrome edition? As you can guess, those ports suggest modern internal specs. No shit. It also means that while we will be delivering classic gaming content, we will also be delivering current gaming content. Okay. We know you are hungry for more details on specs, games, features, pricing, timing, etc. We're not teasing you intentionally. We want to get this right. So we've opted to share things step by step as we bring Ataribox to life, and to listen closely to Atari community feedback as we do so. There are a lot of milestones, challenges, and decision points in front of us in the months ahead. We'll be giving you lots more information and status updates as we progress, and we are thrilled to have you along for the ride. Hope you like where we are taking this. We'll be in touch soon. The Ataribox project team. P.S. Please let us know what you think via our social channels, and also please like, follow, subscribe, and share as much as possible. Gee, that sounds like the end of every YouTube video I've ever seen except mine. Hey, I knew I was doing something wrong. Maybe I should... Actually, you know what? Never mind. Not gonna bother. Next. Okay, I had that whole Ataribox spiel that you heard early on recorded about a month or so ago. And I kept it in the can for a while because I wanted to wait until we had something a little more substantial in regards to the particulars concerning Ataribox. And now I could say, at least as of last week, we have something a little more substantial something regarding Ataribox. From the latest Ataribox newsletter and having been reported by numerous websites. And I've tried to go through as much as possible, but I'm reading from the newsletter. Ataribox, and I quote, will be powered by an AMD customized processor with Radeon graphics technology. It'll run Linux with a customized, easy-to-use user interface. This approach means that as well as being a great gaming device, Ataribox is also a full PC experience for the TV, bringing you streaming, applications, social, browsing, music, and more. So it's basically another Steam machine, another Ouya, another one of those all-in-one micro console things that does everything your PC does, except for the really big stuff that really matter. Okay, I'll play along, I guess. Okay, alright. Most TV devices have closed systems and content stores. Linux lets us be more open. You can access and customize the OS, and you can access the games you bought from other content platforms if compatible with the OS and HW. Okay, no real comment there. There will be tons of classic Atari 2600 games preloaded. Well, it actually says classic Atari retro games preloaded, but it'd probably be the same 100 plus Atari 2600 games they've been re-releasing onto their various flashbacks and compilations for ages now, because that's all they ever seem to put on these fucking things. It's like the 2600 is the only console they ever made. Let's forget that they had the 5200 and the 7800 and the Jaguar. That needs a little love, I guess, you know, especially nowadays when anything retro seems to get a bit of... Okay, I'm going off on a tangent here, I'm sorry. Anyways, moving right on. Let's backtrack a bit. There will be tons of classic Atari retro games preloaded, and current titles from a range of studios. We'll start talking titles very soon. Stay tuned. They don't actually mention any particular titles, they just mention, you know. But that's going to be the interesting thing here for people who care, that is. Because is it going to be powerful enough to run the big heavy hitter titles on the big boy consoles, like your Call of Duties and your stuff like that? Or is it just going to be another indie box for Minecraft and Shovel Knight and whatever the hot indie title is these days? Or something equally quaint that you could just load a couple emulators on there and you get a nice little emulator box like your Pies and stuff. I mean, I wasn't exactly excited over this thing, but I'm not quite inspired with confidence either. Anyways, I digress. Moving right along. We're launching Ataribox on Indiegogo this fall. Read pretty soon. Oh, great. Now I'm really inspired with fucking confidence, guys. Great job. We're gonna launch on Indiegogo. Oh, God. Atari's making a comeback in the it's not even the real Atari, and on top of that, we're gonna do another fucking Indiegogo. Okay, maybe I'm sort of jumping the gun here, but anyways, okay, they're gonna launch on Indiegogo this fall. Okay, to reiterate why, we want you, the Atari community, the few gullible enough to care about this stupid thing at least, to be part of this launch. We want you to have early access, grab special editions and dude, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Grab special. Grab special editions and pricing and to have you as active partners in the rollout of Ataribox for Fox. Oh. We want you to be part of the story. Oh, guys. So it's probably gonna be one of those micro console things. That's probably preloaded with the same games you've been releasing on various platforms for ages now. And you're gonna try and launch it on Indiegogo, and you're gonna have special editions with presumably not only just like, different, exteriors, but also, okay, I'm jumping ahead here, but okay, let's just keep going. We plan on shipping late spring 2018, so that's, somewhat next year, with an expected price range of $249 to $299 depending on specific editions and memory configurations. Jesus fucking. Hope you like what we are sharing today and are ready for lots more in the weeks ahead. Oh yeah, I'm really... this is really getting me excited for Ataribox. P.S. To confirm what many of you have asked, the wood edition is made with real wood. Oh, thank fuck for that, because... oh yeah, that's... round of applause for that, huh? The wood edition's gonna be made from real wood. Alright, so my reaction to the press bit might have tipped my hat off on my overall thoughts on this whole Ataribox thing, and it's been a couple weeks since I last recorded that initial reaction. Maybe I should backtrack a bit on a couple points though. I might have been over the line in regards to that gullible bit, because people might be genuinely excited for Ataribox for whatever reason. I don't know what those reasons are, but if you're looking forward to Ataribox, if you're really looking forward to Ataribox, you're excited about Ataribox, then more power to you. Maybe you'll contribute to the campaign, maybe you'll buy the thing when it comes out, and I hope you get a kick-ass system out of it. I doubt it, but that's just me. Also, I might have been a bit too hard on that Indiegogo thing, because to be fair, it was something they mentioned they pursued as a means to get funds back in the summer, and I made mention of it earlier in the earlier portion of this video. So this Atari company isn't made of money. Okay, fine. Launching a new piece of hardware, I presume, costs a lot of money. So you need to raise those funds somehow, and crowdfunding these days is a good way to go about it these days. That having been said, however, going that route doesn't exactly inspire confidence when it comes to these pieces of hardware. I don't know if anybody remembers the Ouya, that, how much of a success that was and how much hype there was surrounding that thing, and then it sort of fizzled out. I don't think I saw a lot of Ouyas in store shelves back in the day, and I don't believe I ever saw one physical model in the wild either. Most of the Ouyas I found were online in videos and stuff like that. And from my understanding, this Ataribox could very well be the next generation Ouya, something that has a lot of buzz early on and then bombs because it didn't live up to the hype, or it could be another Coleco Chameleon, essentially vaporware where the only available prototype is a plastic shell with an old PC graphics card tossed in for good measure. Or maybe they'll be generous and add in a Super Nintendo motherboard. However, I'm willing to give these guys the benefit of the doubt and assume it's the former rather than the latter. Doing a bit further digging, I came across a Gizmodo article that had a few more details from Atari General Manager Fergal Mack. I apologize if I butchered the name, and apparently the Ataribox will be a mid-level PC type thing that will have a bunch of old Atari 2600 games slapped on there and can play some modest indie games or older PC titles. So you have another thing that can play Minecraft. Ooh, isn't that exciting? but nothing along the lines of the heavy hitter AAA titles that you could get on a proper PC, as well as the various other home video game consoles available on the market right now that could probably do all this shit this thing is advertised and so much more. And considering the price point, I don't know, but $249 to $299, that general ballpark, I'm pretty sure you could find like a base level PlayStation 4 or Xbox One for that amount of money, and gets loads more stuff if you were into that sort of thing. Don't they have streaming boxes that could play a few games for a couple $100? I don't know, folks. I'm really not feeling this one. There's something about this Ataribox. I wasn't excited about it before, and admittedly, it could very well be due to the fact that my gaming interests are slightly skewed towards the more vintage variety, and none of the modern stuff ever really interested me, with very few exceptions to the rule. But reading about the few details released recently, I don't know, something doesn't sit well with me here. There's just something about this whole affair that's kind of off-putting, and I don't know, let me put it another way. If this had been a generic PC-based Linux indie box thing with no particular branding whatsoever, if it didn't have the Atari branding for whatever that's worth these days, probably not worth much, and it didn't have the wood grain and ribbed motif that's being teased to tickle some nostalgic fantasies or whatever the case may be, would anyone care? Would we even be talking about this if this were called the indie box or whatever the case may be? I don't know. There's nothing really special about what I'm hearing about Ataribox other than it's from Atari, which might have some nostalgic kicks for some people, but then it's not really Atari. At least, it's not the Atari you know and love from like way back when. It's some other company who got the name with no formal experience putting out hardware of this caliber. At least I don't believe so. Some will point towards the Atari Flashback line of consoles, but those are more plug-and-play things, and that's somebody else's handiwork, the same way AtGames handles all those Sega Genesis plug-and-play handheld devices these days. Sega didn't really do any of it, they just gave somebody a license and a bunch of games and let's, make a thing. If Sega had the capabilities to make their own little mini consoles, surely they would have been able to put out that Dreamcast 2 everybody was clamoring for. Or something. Or I don't know. You probably can't tell. I don't know if you could, but I'm not quite a fan of this Ataribox thing thus far. And look, this was a no-buy for me beforehand because I have a real Atari console, it plays real Atari game cartridges, it's kind of old, but it works and it does what I expect it to do. I have a bunch of video game systems that I could fiddle around with, as well as a PC that plays Steam games and games on GOG.com and other places, and if I want to go the emulator route, I could do that too. And how many devices do I have that does the whole streaming and social media and app stuff? Not to mention that when it comes to the Ouya's and the game sticks, the shields, and all those RetroPie things, I never really saw the point. So my interest in Ataribox is surface level, more in terms of where this goes rather than whether it would influence my wanting to pick one up. In terms of actually spending money on the thing, I'm not interested in getting an Ataribox, and nothing I've heard has changed my mind on the matter. If anything, all the details I've read on Ataribox thus far is making me question why this is a thing at all. Maybe if it had been cheaper and more of a retro box that plays more than just 2600 games, maybe some 5200 or even 7800 or Atari Jaguar games, maybe some of the computer games that they had. I don't know. What's so special about Ataribox right now is the only question I have on mind. Nothing I've heard about Ataribox is getting me excited about it. I'm filled with general apathy more than, anything. And I shouldn't have to stress this, but because people online have a tendency to be brain dead stupid, just look around any YouTube comment video and you'll get my point. It's early in the morning. It hasn't kicked in yet. I need to point out that I'm only speaking for myself. Chances are you or somebody else might feel differently about Ataribox and you might be looking for it. And again, you may even consider contributing to the campaign when it rolls around this fall. And if that's the case, then don't think I'm trying to dissuade you from doing so. If you want to support it, then by all means, feel free to do so, because what does it matter? If this thing becomes a success, then that's a good thing, because it means another viable option on the video gaming front, and if it falters, fails, and burns in a giant dumpster fire, then we'll just write it off as another failed experiment like the Ouya or the Calico Chameleon or whatever, you know. So that was my rather long spiel on Ataribox. Hopefully we won't have to broach the matter anymore in the future, and you know what? Look, all the best to Atari. I hope this Ataribox thing becomes a success story, and we have something new to talk about in the months and years to come, but right now, I'm just not seeing it, and I don't know, I've got this nagging feeling that something's not right with this thing, but I don't know, we'll wait and see, I suppose, is the old saying. So, back to Enduro for me, I suppose. Anyways, the next Ramble video should be up in about a couple weeks, and it's going to cover a video game system that I've had for about 10 years now, and that's as far as I'll go. Not a review, not an overview, just a bunch of stories and anecdotes and things of that nature and that sort of thing. So, yeah, so that's going to do it for me. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Till next time, take care, and good night. Later.